Who are you really? Not your name, your job, or your hobbies, but at your very core, who are you? This question might seem simple on the surface, but peel back the layers and we're met with a conundrum that has puzzled philosophers for centuries: the question of identity. We live in a world that often measures our worth by our achievements, our possessions, and our status. But is that who we truly are? The Stoics, a group of ancient philosophers, would argue otherwise. They believe that our identity lies not in what we have or what we do, but in who we are at our very core. Imagine for a moment stripping away all the external markers of your identity: your job, your possessions, even your relationships, all gone. What remains? The Stoics would say that it's your character, your virtues, your values. These are the things that truly define you. This is the essence of your identity. But why does this matter? Well, in a world that's constantly changing, where jobs can be lost, possessions can be taken away, and relationships can end, it's comforting to know that there's something within us that remains constant, something that doesn't depend on external factors. This is not to say that these external things are unimportant, but rather, they shouldn't be the sole determinants of our identity. Moreover, understanding that our identity is rooted in our character and virtues can guide our actions and decisions. It can help us navigate the complexities of life with integrity and authenticity. It empowers us to stay true to ourselves, even when faced with adversity. So, if our identity isn't about what we have or do, but who we are, how do we go about defining that? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Imagine a man named Marcus. He's successful, but he's not happy. He feels like he's lost himself in the pursuit of success. Now, Marcus is not alone in this. Many of us have found ourselves at this very crossroads, where the identity we've built around what we do and what we have suddenly seems hollow. Marcus, like many of us, had been swept up in the whirlwind of societal expectations and personal ambitions. He was a high achiever, climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth and accolades. But one day, he paused and looked around. He asked himself, is this who I really am? Is this who I want to be? That simple question sparked a journey of self-discovery. Marcus began to delve deeper into who he was beneath the trappings of his external success. He started to question his values, his priorities, and his actions. He asked himself, what truly matters to me? What do I stand for? As he grappled with these questions, Marcus stumbled upon the philosophy of Stoicism. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who believed in living in harmony with nature and valuing virtue above all else, seemed to offer Marcus a new perspective. He was intrigued by their emphasis on self-control, wisdom, justice, and courage. Marcus found that the Stoics didn't measure success by wealth or power, but by the strength of one's character and the integrity of their actions. They believed in the power of virtue, in being honest, just, brave, and wise. Marcus felt a resonance with these principles. They seemed to align more with his inner self than the external markers of success he had been chasing. So Marcus decided to redefine his identity, not by what he had, but by who he was at his core. He chose to align his actions with his newfound values. He decided to live a life of virtue, to be a man of character, to be a Stoic. Marcus realized that he wasn't his job title or his bank account, but a man of virtue and character. That was his true identity. And that, my friends, is the journey of a Stoic. Marcus began to redefine his identity around his virtues. But what does that mean? In the realm of Stoicism, virtues aren't just moral niceties. They are the very essence of our character, the guiding principles that shape our actions and reactions. Stoics believe that 4 core virtues hold the key to a fulfilling life: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't just abstract concepts, they're practical guides for everyday living. Consider wisdom. This isn't about being a walking encyclopedia, but about understanding the world around us. It's making informed decisions, learning from our experiences, and continuously seeking truth. It's about discerning what's within our control and what isn't, and focusing our energies where they can make a real difference. Courage, on the other hand, isn't just about heroic acts in times of crisis. It's about facing everyday challenges with grit and resilience. It's standing up for what we believe in, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. It's about embracing change and uncertainty, and navigating life's ups and downs with grace and fortitude. Justice isn't merely about law and order. It's about fairness, equality, and respect for others. It's treating people as we would like to be treated, and standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. It's about recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every individual and striving to make the world a fairer, more equitable place. And then there's temperance, the virtue of self-control and moderation. This isn't about denying ourselves pleasure, but about not being slaves to our desires. It's about finding balance and harmony and not letting our appetites dictate our actions. When we align our actions with these virtues, we're not just doing good, we're being true to ourselves. We're defining our identity not by what we have or what we do, but by who we are at our core. We're living a life of purpose and meaning, a life that's true to our values and beliefs. Marcus found that when he lived by his virtues, he was happier and more at peace. He had defined his identity. So, how did Marcus's new identity change his life? Marcus began to see the world differently. His new Stoic identity wasn't just about reading quotes from Seneca or Epictetus. It was about truly living by those principles. And living by those principles meant making some significant changes in his life. Every decision Marcus made was now driven by his Stoic values. He was no longer swayed by the whims of his desires or the expectations of others. Instead, he sought to make choices that were in line with his core values. He chose simplicity over extravagance, wisdom over ignorance, and virtue over vice. His relationships also took a turn. Marcus realized that being a good friend didn't mean giving in to every demand or going along with every plan. Instead, he learned to balance his friendships with his principles. He discovered that true friends respected his values and supported his journey towards becoming a better person. There were times when maintaining this balance was difficult, moments when he felt torn between his friendships and his principles, but each time he reminded himself of the Stoic principle of duty. He recognized that his duty was to himself first, to be true to his beliefs and principles. He understood that by doing so, he was not only being a good friend to himself, but also to others. Marcus's new identity also altered his perception of success. He no longer measured success by material possessions or social status. Instead, success for him was about personal growth, about becoming a better version of himself each day. His new identity was not a mask he wore. It was not a role he played. It was who he was, at his core. His actions, his decisions, his relationships all reflected this new identity. It was not an easy journey, but it was one he chose willingly, driven by his commitment to the Stoic principles. Marcus was no longer defined by what he had, but by who he was, and that made all the difference. So who do you want to be? It's a question that might have startled you, but it's one worth pondering. Stoicism invites us to continually question our identities, to consider what virtues we want to embody. It's not about becoming someone else, but becoming the best version of ourselves. Think of yourself as a sculptor, chiseling away at the marble of your life, revealing the masterpiece within. What virtues do you want your life to reflect? Courage, wisdom, temperance, or justice? Starting this journey might seem daunting, but remember, it's the small daily actions that shape us. Start by aligning your actions with your chosen virtues. Be intentional. If you stumble, it's okay. The Stoics taught us that it's our efforts that count, not perfection. In the words of the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily. Remember, defining your identity is a journey, not a destination, and it's a journey worth taking. Thank you for taking the time to watch today. We're grateful for your time and attention. Our journey together doesn't have to end here. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We regularly post content about Stoicism and how it can help us navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. Remember, the journey to self-discovery is ongoing. Keep exploring, keep growing, and we'll be here to guide you along the way. Until next time, stay stoic.